Hello, thank you for joining me today on my channel for episode 2 of Vinland Saga. Really quite excited to get to this. I've been really thinking about that first episode in these last few days since I recorded that. So yeah, I'm quite excited that this is now a part of the channel proper. That ending there, it was really starting to look like his past is finally caught up. That all good things must come to an end type feeling, right? So yeah, let's see this guy. And of course, there might have been new subscribers once episode 1 did go up. So, if you are a new subscriber, thank you and welcome to my channel. And thank you for joining me and joining this community because it is a community. And before I get into the episode, if you're interested in full length for this episode or perhaps even early access to the next episode right now, consider checking out the Patreon page. And of course, check out the plans for anime in 2021 and beyond. So yeah, check it out. The next poll is going to be the one to replace Death Note, and that is going to be a shorter anime because in this month in May, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is also joining the lineup, and that is a long one. So yeah, I'm probably gonna handpick some shorter anime for the replacement poll for Death Note. So look out for that. But yeah, that's about it for this intro. Let's just get right into it. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy. Northern England, okay, that rings a bell.
その日は土曜日で、バイキングたちは土曜日に風呂に入る。彼らのその習慣をイングランド人は知っていた。
Oh man, this is.
女子供の電容赦するな。皆殺しが王のご命令だ。
Whoa. Sword, okay. Training. Oh, they're play fighting. I thought it was training.
お前いつも真っ先に死ぬよな、ファクシー。
天国にあるバルハラでは毎日お肉が食べら
Eat
れ
meat,
るからね。
drink,
強い
battle.
戦士じゃないとバルハラには入れないんだぞ。母上や姉上はいけるのかな、バルハラ。
Look at that. A young mind starting to ask some interesting questions.
じゃあ僕も行く。
ダメ。じゃあってなんだ。さらっと言うな。
Yeah, I was gonna say, he just decided on his own.
流氷にぶつかっても知らないかんね。
一走りお前の父上に伝言を頼む。軍船が来た。
Ah, right. They showed that at the end of the last episode, right? Whoa, it is massive, isn't it? Yeah, a lot of soldiers.
トロルのトールズを出せって言ったきり、あのままだ。
Thors the troll, yeah,
ト
right.
ールズってトールズさんだよな。ヨウムの戦士たちよ。私はここだ。
Ooh. Go on.
トールズさんに礼を。まさかここまで探しに来るとはな。
There it is. That was Floki, okay.
よもやこのような最果ての地にお隠れと。
要件を言え。
Hiding.
フロキ。
あんまり自分のことを話さない人だからな。
Yeah. He's trying to, bury that, the past.
たちって言ってたよな。
イングランドへの侵攻が始まりましょう。
好きにするがいい。ここは北の最果ての小村だ。
Yeah.
北海の向こうで大国同士が何をしようと関わりはない。
そうは参りません。我が資料シグバルディの命令は全艦隊ヨムスボルグに集結せよ。例外はない。お分かりかな？そのものがたとえ。
Yeah.
脱走。
ヨウム戦士団大隊長トロルのトールズ。この度の戦。あなたも参戦するのです。
Whoa.
15年前行方不明になったあなたが
Oh, 15
この
years.
度晴れて戦線に復帰する。すべてを不問にしてそういうことにしてくださるというのです。我が狩猟はそれほどにあなたの腕を惜しまれている。
それを伝えるために軍船で来ることはあるまい。村の者が動揺している。
お代わりになられましたな、あのトールズ殿が。良い村だ。子供の様子でわかる。繊細とは今日まで無縁だったのでしょう。
Until today.
そういう経験があるかないかで悪い。
They all have the look, right?
子供の使いじゃないんですよ。あなたがこたびの戦に加わらぬとおっしゃるなら、私は使命を果たせぬし、我が狩猟の面目も潰れる。そうなればとても手ぶらで
Oh
は帰れ
no.
ません。
Yeah. The past is caught up. Yeah. Look at that. He'll do it. Of course he'll do it.
北海最強を自負する軍団だ。
撤収！船体船に戻れ！
He got his reply from Thors, didn't he? Clearly something he liked. Not sure if Thors is happy about it, but
感じ悪いな。助かったな、あれ。
私はヨウム戦士団のフローキだ。
Floki,
主
Scarface.
命により勇者トールズ・スノーレソンに活性を頼むためこの地へ参った。
勇者。
我と思わん者はトールズ殿と共にヨムスボルグへ参られよ。
Okay.
戦だ！
Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. That is quite telling, isn't it? They're all celebrating, but Thors.
断れなかったのかね、トールズ。
村を巻き込んでしまったな。ある日急に嫌になったんだ。
Right. That was really clear to see in episode 1.
殺されるのも。だから逃げたんだ。戦場から。
A moment of clarity, right?
逃げればこの村が俺の代わりに報復される。ヨウムの掟は脱走者を許さない。
Oh. Yeah.
自分のしてきたことにけじめをつける時が来たんだ。
その軍船と船団を組むことにしたよ。そうか。確かに
This
そ
is
の
going
方
to be
が安
quite
全だ。
the amateur crew, though, right?
俺らが守ってやるからよ。
This dude's gonna die, isn't he? If he does end up going. Oh, great shot.
しかしな、どいつも戦好きなことよ。
Yeah.
ルール守れよな。
Look at his face.
なんだこ
The
いつ。
screw the
大
rules.
丈夫か？待てよ、トルフィン。
Look at that.
トルフィンがやったんだよ。あいつ最近ムカつくんだ。手加減しねえし、もう絶対仲間に入れてやんね
本当か。うちの子が。
It's time for the talk, isn't it?
それはすまなかった。よく言って聞かせる。
でもまだ6つだろ。4つ5つ上の子たちに怪我させると大したもんだよ。
Okay.
いい戦士になるぜ、あの子は。やっぱりあんたの血だよ、トールズ。
I don't think he wants that.
これ一式くれんの、やつえ。
ジェイ様の代からの家宝の武具で存分に戦ってこい。
お、でけえな。
It's all, wholesome and naive, but I feel like it's gonna get dark real soon, right?
片付けないと捨てちゃうよ。いいの？
I think he's in there. Yeah, they showed this in the last episode, didn't they? This room.
うちの武器はどこ？
There's a significant shot of the sword. Right? Is that the sword he's about to grab? Okay. It's a short one. Oh. It's like a dagger.
綺麗。
Wow. How about that?
どうしたのユルバ？
Yelva. Yelva's got great eyebrows, man. He's gonna ask him
剣
some.
は人を殺す道具だ。お前はこれで誰を殺すつもりなんだ。
敵。
お
Who's
前
the
の
enemy?
敵は誰なんだ。
ハーフ団とか
Like half dead. Look at me. Yeah.
お前に敵などいない。誰にも敵などいないんだ。
This could be an important part of the series right here, of the story.
傷つけて良いものなどどこにもいない。
Yeah, the pacifist stance, that was, again, clear in episode 1.
だって父上は明日戦に行くんでしょ
Reluctantly,
敵を殺しに行くんでしょ子供じゃない父上は嘘を言ってる僕にだってわかる
oh,
西北西から微風、波穏やか。
the calm before the
今
storm,
朝は
huh?
オーディン神の機嫌がいい。出港にはいい朝だな。
ああ、
He looks so deflated.
おい、ヨウムの兄さん方、あんたらも一杯やらねえか
Discipline, man. Look at them. Okay, so he's at another camp now.
相変わらず貴様の手下は品がないな。アシェラット。
Ask lad.
キリスト教
Whoa.
が好かねえだけですよ。黒木
New character alert.
それよりさっさと仕事の話をしましょうや。
大きな変更はない。報酬は金5ポンド。奴の死体と引き換えでなければ払わんぞ。
Oh,
奴
Yeah.
の船と積み荷はお前たちの好きにしていい。トールズを殺せ。
yeah. You know that thing Thor said? Oh, let me pause that. Yeah, you know that thing he said earlier, you know, they just don't forgive deserters. Yet, you know, you have Floki here telling him, oh, you know, they're making an exception for you, you know, because you're Thors. But then Thor's, you know, it's actually, it feels like Thor's actually even knows, maybe, you know, that this is not how they function. So, I'm gonna have to listen to the pronunciation of that character's name. Asklad? Right. Great introduction frame, though. Feet on the table. That alone in itself is quite symbolic, right? All right, folks, episode 2. Yeah, you know, that episode made things a lot more clear, right? A lot of different things or possibilities that I was kind of, you know, establishing in that first episode, they became really clear in this episode now. You know, the trajectory of this story in the near future, at least. Yeah, you know that point I brought up about the first plot point and it being usually being something unforeseeable, right, or something substantial or big. It happened. Right, it happened, and they essentially hinted that in the conclusion of the first episode as well, right? As Floki and his warship was heading towards that village or that area of Iceland. Yeah, indeed, the past did catch up. You know, sooner or later, it caught up. And, you know, again, sooner or later, all good things must come to an end, and it certainly had that feeling here. You know, you see Thor's demeanor throughout this episode, or at least after the meeting with Floki. Actually, just his arrival, you know, because I think Thor's, he knew, right? He knew the moment the warship showed up and it was full, absolutely just full of soldiers, the Yom Vikings. He knew Floki's angle, you know. He was the captain of this outfit. And that in itself is just insane. That is so impressive, right? That Thors was the captain of this outfit, and this outfit is essentially the best in all of the Northern Sea, according to Leaf, right? So yeah, the fact that he was the captain, and then he essentially, now officially, yes, he deserted. And, this episode, they confirmed that he's the captain. So imagine the captain of that outfit deserting, right? I'm speaking of this from their angle, right? The other soldiers who see this. Clearly, this man was quite respected. Thors, that is. He's quite capable. The distinct feeling I had in episode 1 is that this is like a legendary fighter, right? And you see, there's still respect there. As Floki and the rest of the soldiers, they kind of show their respects, right, as Thors approaches the ship. So that's still there, unless, it's just a show by Floki. But to be the captain of this formidable outfit, of course, he probably had all kinds of respect and clearly held in high regard. But now, you have to think about the perception and how it might have changed. And clearly it's changed given, the conclusion of this episode and, the actions Floki is putting into motion or is about to take. Now, I say that he's trying to put something into motion, but, looking at all the signs from this episode and looking at the setup in this episode, and trying to extrapolate or building on those signs and seeing any potential route it might take in terms of story progression and character arcs. I think it became clear in this episode that Thors is not going to be around for the long term. That was one of the things I was already kind of a bit uneasy about in the first episode, because that type of character, I've seen that type of character before. All of us have seen that type of character before. But again, just because it's been in other stories before doesn't mean it was any less impactful, right? I maintain that his characterization was so impactful in that first episode, made quite the first impression. But yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Thors is not going to be around for the long run. And I think that is going to lead into a lot of different things. But I think the main thing here is the catalyst to Thorfinn's character arc. And again, like I mentioned, that's a character arc here, right? That's the one to look at here as the long-term story character arc, because of all the potential there, right? He's a blank canvas essentially at this point in time. That these things, these life-altering moments, potentially can start pushing him into certain directions. And if Thors does end up dying, right, as they've set up here, the trajectory for Thorfinn, the direction he might head into is not one that Thors really wants for him, I think. A potential Thor's death, the death of his father, that could really substantially alter the trajectory of this young kid, 6 years old. Though he doesn't feel like he's a kid anymore, as he told his father, as his father is trying to, give him one of the most important lessons of his life. Unfortunately, he's at that phase, right? He's much too young to comprehend this, right? He's much too naive at this point in time. And again, he is a 6-year-old, so you can't really fault him for that. Unfortunately, at this stage of his life, he's too young to comprehend this really important life lesson that his father Thors is trying to give him. But like any 6-year-old, he's a bit rebellious. He has these preconceived notions or misconceptions about himself, his reality, the world, his father even. So you see him bolt out of there. I'll circle back to that because before I go any further, I need to address this final scene. Of course, first of all, the major component of it being that a hit is put on Thors, right? And unfortunately, it looks like Thors is going to ride right into it, right? Because it was quite clear he's not going to, he's not going to decline Floki's demand here, right? Or his approach, because of course, it was quite clear to Thors as well, the moment he saw the warship full of soldiers, that any type of retort or if he declines this approach, that's going to be the end of that village and a lot of those innocent people, a lot of people he cares for, his family's there. They would have butchered all of them in no time. These guys are, disciplined, right? They all have that look, right? That each one of them could just be a nice cold killer, have no hesitations, right? Once the order is given, they'll, you get a distinct feeling they would just butcher everyone if Floki gave the orders. And that Ari fellow came quite close. You see that one guy was a bit annoyed that he didn't get to chop this kid's head off. And Leif Erikson tells him as much. Again, Leif Erikson being the old head, you see he understands the situation. He can read the situation quite a bit. And he was actually quite a bit like Thors. Those are the two men or characters in this situation that really understood the magnitude of this, right? He's, you see Thors, there's a lot of beautiful imagery, once again, a lot of poignant imagery. It's gorgeous stuff. The backgrounds and the animation, it's just stunning, man. 2 episodes in, this is essentially becoming perhaps the best looking anime already, a strong contender for that. And I say that because clearly it's going to continue on this trajectory of just beautiful animation and backgrounds and poignant imagery, right? So much of it. You can read quite a bit into a lot of this imagery. One of the standout moments of this episode is, Thors just really dejected, accepting his imminent downfall, perhaps, and knowing, what's to come next. Yet everyone around him, the villagers, the village folk, they're celebrating the notion of going to war, right? And getting that glory for their, for their family name. And all of that is going on in the background, and Thors is just in the middle of the frame looking down, really dejected. And of course, Leif Erikson noticed through all of this commotion and celebration, he noticed Thors, and he knows. And of course, later Thors, kind of completely came out to him about the situation, that indeed he did make it seem like he died. And I feel like that was quite clear in that first episode, right? Throwing the sword was quite symbolic. And it, kind of just sinking to the darkness, into the shadows. I felt that was quite symbolic of his decision at that point. And then, of course, that stunning and incredible shot from the shore, his footsteps leading to the opposite direction of the carnage, the battle, right? The world he's known this whole time, the thing he's quite capable of. That image, I've been thinking of just getting a custom board of that image. That's how powerful I think that image is. And, I've gone back to that image a few times just looking at that image. I might get a custom board and hang that up during the Vinland Saga discussions and reactions. Yeah. I felt like that image alone, it was able to just have so much. It packed so much within that image. And if that wasn't clear enough, even before that, the opening of the anime made it quite clear that this warrior longs for home, for family, for his wife and his child, his baby, young baby. I mean, all babies are young, but his young child, essentially. A brain fart moment. But yeah, that was so clear, right? It was so clear, and that dramatic shift of him kind of coming to out of this daydream and realizing that he's in this situation and he'd rather be anywhere else, right? As the title of the episode alluded to. So yeah, you know, a lot of great setup in that first episode. But circling back to this episode and him, you know, opening up about his past to Leif Erikson, yeah, he tells him that essentially, you know, he had a moment of clarity. He had a moment of realization that, you know, this is not the place I want to be at. These are not the things I want to continue doing, right? And notice how, you know, then the transition there, you know, goes straight to Helga. Again, as established in episode 1, that is his, this is what he cares about, right? This is his responsibility, his wife, his children. You see that, you know, you see that concept a lot, that once a warrior has a child, right, their world or their perspective, it shifts dramatically, right? Knowing that, you know, back home there is a young child and, you know, there is a wife, and that, you know, that you are needed now, you know, that they depend on you, that, you know, that you're responsible, you have a responsibility, and that you have an attachment, that emotional attachment now, right? You know, of course, there's always that, you know, trope or that notion that, you know, once a warrior has a child, or, you know, once they fall in love, you know, they start to become soft, right? I don't think that's the case here. You know, I don't think Thors has become soft at all. But, you know, his perspective and his outlook has shifted dramatically. But actually, before I, you know, go too far off, I need to circle back to my initial point about the hit being put on Thors by Floki, right? You know, even Thors himself knows. He knows. You know, he was the captain of this outfit. He knows how they see things and how they, you know, retaliate against deserters, or their outlook on deserters. He knows they don't forgive deserters. Now, you know, you have to look at his angle on this, right? First of all, clearly he doesn't want to do it on his own, right? And he's gone to this outfit, this third party, a mercenary Vikings group, right? Askeladd or Askelad. I hope one of those is right. But yeah, looking at the spelling, that's kind of the sound or pronunciation I'm getting from this. Askelad or Askelad. But yeah, you know, going back to Floki hiring a third-party outfit to do this hit, he clearly doesn't want that blood on his hands, or, you know, he doesn't want that on him, right? Clearly, he wants to be separate from this. He doesn't want it to come back to him, right? That's the feeling I'm getting here. But, you know, in that sense, is he also trying to set up something else here? Is he trying to further himself, you know, in this Yom's Vikings hierarchy, essentially? But, you know, jumping back to this other new character they just introduced in this episode, I love that first frame of his, you know, feet up on the table, and you see his face in the background out of focus. Love those types of shots. Only thing missing was a bit of smoke, you know, from a pipe or something. But yeah, you know, great first introduction, to be honest. Now, you know, it's clear that this man is the leader of this outfit. And, you know, notice how the outfit is the exact opposite of the Yom Vikings, right? You know, they're disciplined, in control, kind of like ice cold, right? Ready to strike at a moment's notice. And then you have this other outfit, you know, Askelad or Askelad's outfit. You know, there's a distinct, you know, work hard, play hard mentality that's kind of being depicted here, or the sense I was getting here. But, you know, in that sense, you know, that's Vikings as well, right? Now the leader himself, Askelad or Askelad, he didn't say much, but, you know, the firm feeling I was getting here is that, you know, this is a man that takes, that doesn't answer to anyone, right? This is a man who has no strings attached to him. That's the feeling I was getting here, right? But yeah, you know, I hope the next episode does have a more full-blown conversation, a back and forth, so I get to learn more about him and understand this character. And I hope he has some questions for Floki, right? I hope he grills him a bit about, you know, putting out this hit on Thors. I mean, I would not be surprised one bit if he straight up just asked him, how come you don't do it yourself, right? Because, you know, that is information. That is, you know, information that he might want to extract and know about. surely someone in a leadership position is going to have questions, and he's going to try to extract information out of Floki so he can have a better understanding about the situation and the target. So yeah, I am interested to learn about this character and how he carries himself, right? His values, his disposition, all of that. But yeah, throughout this episode, you see that Thor's normal world has been destroyed at this point in time. And again, this was brought on because of this first plot point, and it did end up being this unforeseeable, big or substantial moment, right? Thing that kind of upset the balance of his reality, right? And then subsequently, the people around him, right? Again, he completely understands the next step here, right? He knows it is time now to face the consequences of his actions 15 years ago, right? He knows. The normal world is essentially a setting, right? A show or a story. Sorry, not a show. A story. Again, be it a show, anime, books, gaming, film, anything, right? It's essentially the beginning of the story, the setting of the story. Essentially, a story opens here. If you go through all your favorite stories, more often than not, you're going to recognize the normal world of the character and how, a potential first plot point upsets that balance of their normal world. And essentially, this is a place that they might be content in, right? Or there might be a level of complacency in place. And yeah, like I said, if you go through a lot of your favorite stories, you'll see, the beginnings of a story or of a character arc or their trajectory, you'll see. The first one that's coming to mind again is Eren Yeager. Again, spoilers just in case, but yeah, Eren Yeager's normal world, inside the walls or Shiganshina specifically, you see that there was a level of being content. There was a level of complacency, right? For sure. And then, of course, that was all destroyed. And another really common or easy to go to example of this is Luke, right? Luke Skywalker in the beginning of A New Hope, right? You certainly see his normal world, right? And the normal world doesn't mean that the character always has to leave or end up physically leaving that place. It could also be the opposite, It might be a place they don't want to leave, but, they might need to leave, right? Or be forced to leave. But moving on, the series as a whole, 2 episodes in, the music continues to be fantastic. And, I've noticed that there's really different types of music here. It's not one type of music. So I'm liking that. I'm really liking that mix up. And then the pacing, quite noticeably different than most anime I've seen. And I haven't seen too many, but, I've seen a few now. One Piece for a long time, and then Shingeki for the last few years, and then much more recently Death Note. Though of course Death Note has a similar pacing a lot of times, but yeah, this is certainly taking its time. It certainly has really distinct pacing, and I like it. Now I feel like Thorfinn has a lot of hard lessons ahead of him. The School of Hard Knocks, and you see that his father, Thors, he tried to give him an important lesson. But again, like I mentioned earlier, he's at that phase, right? He's at that phase. But yeah, for that reason, I do think he does have some tough lessons ahead of him. And unfortunately, one of them looks to be the potential death of his father, right? And essentially the aftermath of that and how it could affect him. Because, at first, I had concern about that, but then this episode, the characters in the show, Floki himself, essentially confirmed that, that's the plan. He's putting a hit out on him. So yeah, I feel like, I hate to say, but I feel like his death, his Thor's potential death, could be the big catalyst in kicking off Thorfinn's character arc. Going back to Thorfinn's love at first sight moment, essentially, as he pulls out that dagger. I mean, again, some beautiful imagery, and the music itself, it was more of a somber tone rather than a exciting or uplifting, the beginning of a hero's journey type music. But yeah, he was absolutely mesmerized by its beauty, right? Infatuated even. He called it beautiful. And then you see his father grab the blade, right? And you see how quickly and easily it cuts him up. And I do feel like, Thors was trying to show his son just how, dangerous this beauty can be, right? And also beyond that, I think it was also symbolic of him trying to protect his son from everything that Blade represents, right? And has represented to Thors in his life, right? In his prior life, essentially, before he gave it all up, buried it, and tried to go to the ends of the world. Unfortunately, it caught up to him. And also, I felt like it was also kind of depicting that Thors is ready, that it was symbolic of Thors being ready to protect his son. But of course, as any 6-year-old does, or any youngster does, they turn it against their parent or a figure of authority, and kind of questions their actions. Oh, you're about to do this. You're about to go off and fight and kill. So I know you're just lying to me, right? And he just dashes out of there, right? So yeah, like I said, he's got some tough lessons ahead of him, Thorfinn, that is. So yeah, I'm not sure if Thorfinn's going to be on that path, that pacifist stance that his father holds. Though, looks like reluctantly he is going to have to take up that sword once again. Now, much like humans, characters and stories in all kinds of mediums, they resist change, right? And in this case, it's a 6-year-old, right? Thorfinn, so that, that's to be expected as well. But, I am, even though he's a 6-year-old, I am treating him as a character that I am going to start applying some character development thoughts to, right? Because, again, it became even more clear in this episode that this is the meaty character arc or this is the potential meaty character arc of the story. Again, given his age and his current disposition and all the potential. So yeah, out of resistance comes conflict, and out of conflict comes the plot. And like I mentioned a bit earlier in the discussion, he does seem to have this deeply held misconception about himself, or about the world, his reality, his father, all of that, right? Again, 6-year-old, right? So there's a lot of potential for growth. And yeah, I'm at this point in time, I feel like I'm pretty confident that this is the long-term focus of the series. Thorfinn, that is, his character arc is potentially, the long-running character arc that's being set up here. And, the ghost of the character, I feel like that is imminent. Or, the lie the character believes. And, usually the ghost of a character is a traumatic and deeply affecting experience, right? And again, I go back to Eren Yeager. Quick spoiler alert. Episode 1, right? Eren Yeager has his world turned upside down, his world destroyed, his home destroyed, his mother killed, and yeah, his life is just flipped upside down from that moment. Traumatic experience, right? Deeply affecting experience that played a major part in his trajectory, right? Right up until season 4. Yeah, so I feel like, given a lot of the things they've set up in this episode that are kind of hard to ignore at this moment, I feel like the ghost of Thorfinn's character arc is right around the corner in that sense, and the lie the character believes. And again, I go back to that notion that he has a lot of tough lessons ahead of him. Now, this trajectory I'm mentioning, it kind of takes me to the step-by-step thought process here. And, Floki, kind of, the trickster Floki in this sense, he kind of rallies the village folk, right? He hypes them up. He implores them to, join Thor as this hero, join him on this warship and join us, right? If you think you're good enough, if you're strong enough. And of course, it had everyone excited, except Thors, of course. But because of this, now you have a lot of excitement. You have a lot of youngsters and a lot of people that want to prove themselves in the hunt for glory, right? And Thors feels like he dragged these people into this, so now he's going to be surrounded by these people, and that in itself is also, I think, a strategic move by Floki here, because by surrounding or by making it so a lot of these people are going to, join Thors, he knows it's going to play on Thors' mind, right? Thors' mind. But yeah, going back to the point, that is going to slow him down, or not slow him down. That's going to, make him think twice out there if they do run into trouble. And, I think they've made it quite clear they are going to run into trouble. This Askeladd and his outfit is going to show up at some point. It is going to ambush them or, confront them at some point. So now, you have Thors here who's going to feel protective and the responsibility for these people as well, because he feels like it's because of him that they're out here, right? And then, time and time again, what's the thing that happens in that situation? You see these types of characters say, leave them out of this. Your business is with me. Right? Leave them out of this. You want me, not them. And then, of course, that could potentially lead to a, me against you, leave them out of it. Don't make them fight. You want to fight me. So, there's that potential as well that he might take it all upon himself. Now, I think, Leaf being there is important because in the first episode, they did set him up as this storyteller, this, bridge, this person who's the messenger, who tells stories of these grand adventures and moments, right? So I feel like him being there is crucial because I feel like if Thors is to die after this potential ambush or this hit that's being put on them, I feel like Leaf could be the one to get back to the hometown and tell everyone, or at least his loved ones, about this, right? That Thors died, but he died trying to protect these people, trying to get them out of the situation. I feel like Leaf could be the bridge here, the messenger, that, and because of that, it might set Thorfinn on a path that is the opposite of what his father really wants for him, right? Any potential Thor's death, the death of his father, any potential death is sure to lead him down a path of vengeance, anger. So yeah, a possibility here is that because of a potential death of his father, he could head out on his own, right? And that's one of the reasons I think he's going to be in for a lot of tough lessons, a lot of hard lessons. But yeah, he might be filled with rage and vengeance if this does play out like this. I personally think Thors is going to die in the near future. It felt like even he himself has kind of accepted that, and the fact that he straight out said, oh, the Yoms Vikings don't, look kindly towards deserters, right? They punish them. Yeah, I think the setup is there. And, in that sense, another reason that I'm on this thought process or this line of thought is another parallel to Game of Thrones, Ned Stark and Arya. Same type of thing, right? Arya does end up going on a trajectory that is full of rage and vengeance as well, right? But I'm speaking of season 1 as he kind of sits down to talk to Arya. It was a bit similar to the scene of Thors and Thorfinn in front of that chest. So yeah, the second episode really established some substantial setup, right? And I feel like this episode made a lot of these potential character arcs or the path to those character arcs much more clear, right? In terms of giving me the potential of, the lie the character believes and the ghost of a character arc. So yeah, I'm really quite excited for episode 3. That has some great potential after episode 2. So yeah, I think that's about it for this one. So yeah, I think that's about it for this. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like. Consider dropping some comments. Give me your thoughts. If you're interested in full length for this episode, or perhaps even early access to the next episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. And once again, it's only an option for anyone who's interested in content beyond the scheduled content, or the perks of being a patron and supporting the content and the channel. If you're interested, the link is in the description or in the pinned comment. And of course, you don't have to go and become a patron. You can just go there and check out the plans for anime for the rest of 2021 and beyond, and all the different, things I would love to check out. And, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is coming in May as well. So, the next poll is not going to be for a long anime. Because, I'm going to have Full Metal Alchemist, then there's going to be this anime, and then adding a third long-term anime might not be the best option at this point in time. So, the new poll is going to have something shorter, or, different anime that's shorter. And then, they're handpicked. I don't go into anything blind. Everything on my watch list is something I'm really interested in. I need to be interested in the anime before I even consider putting it on a poll. So, the poll itself, the options are really handpicked. And once they're handpicked, I open it up to a poll. And then, of course, the winner is chosen as the next anime. Right then, that's about it for this one. I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you for your time. And I hope to see you again soon for episode 3 and beyond. So until then, take it easy.